30 Minutes with Ron. Hi, I'm Ron Gagliardi. I'm the host of 30 Minutes with Ron, and welcome to the show. And I have someone to welcome to the show whose name is Roger Dietz. Roger, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Now let's see, why are you here? Oh, I know. You are the publisher of some amazing magazines.
So I've been told.
Yes. How did you get to do this? Give me a little background.
Well, I was never in the publishing business. I actually was a corporate guy. And at some point in that career, I found myself without a job and unable to find employment that was going to pay me what I wanted. I decided to venture out and reinvent myself.
Why not?
And along came, at that time, the Southington magazine. So we...
When was this?
That was in 2011. Brought out the first magazine in November of 2011. It was a town magazine, supported 100% by advertising. Had interesting stories about town, people of interest, history, successful entrepreneurs, some local or current events that were going on, and brought that out, and the result was wonderful.
People liked it.
People liked it. We got a great response. People wondered, what is this? What's going on? The phone rang. What's this magazine? How do I get in it? And that was the start.
No.
So just kind of kept it rolling. Started talking to more advertisers. Went from a 48-page magazine up to a 56, up to a 64, and depending on how much advertising we had. And writers came out of the woodwork. People called up. They're writers. They have ideas. My grandfather's owned this jewelry store it's been in our family for 100 years. You should write about it. Right. All that kind of stuff. Photographers called up. Can I take pictures? Do you need a cover? So it was very exciting.
Yeah. I call it a resume magazine sometimes, at least when we do it in Cheshire. Oh, I didn't tell anybody yet. We do one in Cheshire.
We do now.
Cheshire magazine. Oh, we got to find out about that.
Sure, sure.
Yes. Well, the people who have been working for the magazine, like when you first did the first issue, did you have Susan on board? Was she the first person that you were working with?
Actually, no. Susan she owns a company, Perfect Type. She's a tremendous graphic designer, and she has a lot of other business that she runs, not just my magazine. But at that time, when I first started, I had a friend of mine. He and I started this together.
Oh, that's right. You had a RD or DS person.
Right,
yes.
And he has graphic design experience, so he took on that half of the business. And we did it for several magazines. And after, really as much fun as it is, we were doing this to make money. It was a job. And the margins are pretty small. And it was hard to support two of us, splitting it down the middle. So we kind of amicably decided, he wanted to do something else. I said I'd take over this. So at that time, I reached out and found Susan Larson of Perfect Type to do the design part. And I took over the ad sales and every other aspect of the business. Mm-hmm. That's what happens when you run your own business. You kind of do everything. The bookkeeping, the banking, the invoicing, collections, you talk to all the advertisers, you're writing ads, you're writing articles. So it was a lot.
Yeah.
But as time went on, more people came on board, and my workload still is pretty high, but it's able to be diminished, and other people pick things up. I really didn't want to be the only person writing.
Right. Yeah.
I didn't want our readers to only have, by Roger Dietz.
Right.
So we got other people to come in and write articles. And like you say, a resume magazine, because most people are happy to write and not get compensated.
Right.
Some people know the ropes a little more. They require that you pay them, and so we pay them. you know.
Now it gets delivered free of charge because the advertising supports it.
It is free, yeah. We in Southington and in Wallingford, Wallingford came along 4 years later. We deliver 17,000 magazines, and that goes to the homes and businesses. There's actually in Southington about 18,700, almost 19,000 homes and businesses. And in Wallingford it's over 20,000. So we're doing 17,000. We're not doing 100% saturation. My advertisers are happy with 17,000. Yep. It costs a lot to print the magazine. So if I don't have to print 20,000 magazines, I'm able to put a little bit of money in my pocket.
Right.
So that's kind of the way that works.
Now when you say we deliver, it's not like your crew. It's through the U.S. Post Office.
And it comes through the Postal Service. Thank you. Yeah. It comes, the carriers, they put it in your mailbox. So when you go there, you go to your mailbox, there's a awesome, high-end, coffee table quality magazine all about your town.
Let's show one. I'll hold up.
Sure.
Well, let's see. I'll hold up Cheshire #1.
Well, I'm going to start with Southington because that's where we began.
All right, I'll put down Cheshire #1, and you hold up Southington.
So we started with Southington, and this has been 6 years. We're on issue 28. I'm very proud of that. It's been well received, beautiful magazine. Have had a great time. 4 years later, we started the Wallingford magazine, and this is now on issue 16. I have an editor in Wallingford who takes a lot of the front end work. Tarn Granucci is the editor. Christy McGrath does a lot of the sales. She's terrific. And we have a little team, and of course I work closely with them.
Yeah.
Just recently, we started Cheshire, and the Cheshire magazine is now in its 3rd edition. Yeah. And I have this tremendous editor, Ron Gagliardi, who I work with to help edit the magazine and generate articles, and Nancy Hollis in sales. And she works in Southington and in Cheshire and basically anywhere else. She's a really good salesperson. And then we started North Haven. So North Haven is also in its 3rd issue. Jill DiCello is the editor there. She owns a company, Wintz Promotions. She's really good at promotions. And she's learning the magazine trade as well. She's done some magazine business in the past, so she's not a novice.
Right.
And then now, I don't have a magazine to show you because it hasn't come out yet, but we're launching Brantford magazine. And Robert Dayhill is the editor there. And Brantford's a tremendous market, looking forward to that. So we're in a growing stage, and we're actually looking for more opportunity.
Yes.
We have the backbone of the business as far as production and printing and distribution and a lot of the nuances that are necessary to put it together. So if we have a front person who is from the town perhaps and loves the town and the history and knows the people, then that's the type of candidate that would be the front person for a magazine. Yep. So we have the ability to grow right now, and that's what we're looking to do.
That's good. Now, can you hold up the Cheshire, the blue one there, just for a second? Because I have to give a plug for Tony Falcone.
This is a beautiful cover.
That's a print of a painting, a cover of a print of a painting that Tony did.
And it's actually, the painting is much larger. We couldn't do it justice on the cover, being a portrait style that it's in. It's much larger. But there's a really nice article in here about Tony Falcone and some of his artwork and his story. And these are the types of stories that we love to bring to the people in town. And I think the people in town, they really enjoy getting that information.
And I wanted you to show that because Tony and his wife Judy were guests on this show.
Yep.
And I'm kind of proud of this. We have print #1 of that painting.
Of that very painting?
Hanging in the House of Gags.
How cool.
Yes. So
very cool.
That's a cool deal.
Well, they were kind enough to recently send me a thank you for being in the magazine. And I got a box of chocolates with, on the cover was one of his original paintings. So.
Yes, it's called Steppin' Out.
Steppin' Out,
Stepping Out.
Yeah, it's a fire, horses pulling an old-time fire engine, the steam coming out, and of course my kids, and they wanted the chocolates, and I said, careful with that. I want that. I want that box top back.
Yeah,
so
that's going to be something.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Now we should add the name of your company.
RDS Media is the name of the company. It is really an acronym for me and my previous partner, but it still remains RDS Media. Most people in my markets that I'm in don't know RDS Media. They know Southington Magazine, Wallingford Magazine, Cheshire, North Haven Magazine. So we use them synonymously in each market. But the real company, yes, is RDS Media.
I met someone just this afternoon. I was shopping up at Costco. Oh, I don't know. Shh, don't tell anybody. And I saw a person I know lives in Southington named Paula. And I said, Paula, do you get Southington Magazine? She said, yes, I love that magazine.
How about that?
Yes, so they're everywhere. The readers are everywhere.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Well, we, other than delivering them to the homes and the businesses, we print, 500-600 extra, and we distribute them around. I try to get them in all the doctor's offices and the dentist's offices and
real estate
offices, anywhere there's a waiting room, and we just try to get it out so it's out. And that's to benefit the advertisers, but also just to have the magazine out. And in reality, people love the magazines. They save them. I've had people call me up and say, do you have issue 6? Because I don't have that in my collection. So, I try to dig out issue 6 and get it to them. If I have some extras. I've gone to friends' houses where they have them all laid out. We've gone to, like my wife went to a doctor's office in North Haven, and there was the North Haven magazine sitting on, and she took a picture of it with her phone and sent it to me.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's out there. It's a model that works. People love the fact that it's their town. They own it. It's their town. It means something to them.
And you like only positive news in there.
What we do is we don't take sides. We don't speak politics. We don't take religion. I don't want to do the stuff that's on the news all the time. I want it to be a positive experience. Uplifting stories about successful entrepreneurs in town. Stories about people who have done things in history in the town, settling various areas or starting certain companies. We did a whole thing on Pexto, which was a huge manufacturing company in Southington, which no longer exists.
Pexto?
Pexto. And there was actually Pexto, Wilcox, and one other name. There was 3 people who owned it. It employed almost everyone in town. And old pictures, this huge complex takes up blocks and blocks and blocks. It isn't even there anymore. So these are the kind of stories that we try to publish. And in association with the Historic Society, the Southington Historic Society has been tremendous. They have old pictures, and when I talk to people about the magazine, or people talk to me, one of the biggest feedbacks I get is they love the history.
Right.
People love history of their town. And Southington and Cheshire and Wallingford all were settled in the 1600s.
Right.
So we're talking 400 years of history there. North Haven, not so long, but still, it's part of New Haven, and it still has a lot of history there.
Now, speaking of history, you'd probably be history if you didn't mention this one person on the staff that we forgot to put into our discussion. There's this woman, I've seen her around. I think she does proofreading?
Proofreading?
Yes.
Yes. We wouldn't want to forget her. That would be my wife, Ellie. Ellie is tremendous. She proofs all the magazines. She picks up a lot of stuff that I miss, that everybody misses. And she works hard. She wakes up when we're at deadline, everything's crazy, trying to pull it all together. And she'll say, do I have a magazine to proof? Meaning, did it land on her email?
Right.
Is it ready? And I'll either say yes or no, depending on which one. But, she's looking to get this over with, get through it, get it done in time for deadline as well. So yeah, she's a big part of this.
Now, from what I understand, and I understand this pretty well because I'm subject to it. I'm also a suspect as well, but you try to do 5 issues a year.
Yep.
How does that work?
So originally we were doing 4 issues, one for each season. Your spring, summer, fall, and winter. Somewhere along the line, I don't know, year 6, I don't know, somewhere along the line, we bantered it around and decided that we would do a special holiday edition and bring it out December 1st.
Right.
So that was a great idea. It added another magazine into the mix, which, by the way, adds revenue.
Sure.
And it is about revenue. As much fun as it is, I'm trying to make a living.
But you provide it for free, so you got to have something to pay
Well,
the costs.
it's one more opportunity
Yeah.
for our advertisers to get in front of all of
Right.
the people, and it also gets them in front of the people at a really good time. Many people have the opportunity during that holiday season to sell a lot of goods.
True.
Right?
Yeah.
So the holiday issue. The problem with the holiday issue is all of the magazines had to come out on December 1st. So when throughout the year we can kind of stagger their release so that we're working on this one, releasing this one, working on this one, releasing this one, etc. This required that all the magazines came out on December 1st. So we took on we created something that was a little monster there we had to tame. But we did it. We got them all out. We've done it 2 years in a row with the 5 issues. The holiday issue is by far the most demanding, just because they all have to come out at the same time.
Right. Now, in the interest of full disclosure, I have to add that I am the editor of the Cheshire magazine, as was discussed earlier. But just a little background on how that happened, because I am, at 70 years old, a person not expecting to be named the editor of a magazine, the editor of anything. And a couple years ago, I saw this beautiful Wallingford magazine in Wallingford at a place I shopped. I believe it's called Stuff. Chrissy McGrath's friend runs Stuff, yeah. And I saw, wow, this is a great magazine. I wish I could write something for this magazine. So I saw the editor, Tarn Granucci, and in the magazine. I called him up, and he allowed me to meet with him, and I showed him some things I had written, a couple of books and newsletters and that kind of stuff. And he said, yeah, you could probably write for the magazine. And then nothing happened for about a year. And I said, well, that was a wasted trip, but it's always good to promote yourself. You never know what's going to happen. And then I heard this summer of 17 that this new magazine was coming to Cheshire. And I saw the cover that was being proposed, and I said, that's those guys with the Wallingford magazine. So maybe I can write something now. So I called Tarn up again, and he said, we were thinking about you. Why don't you meet with us and see what happens? And all of a sudden, there I was. I got to be the editor. And I'm having fun. Of course, I don't do things if they're not fun, so I'd have to do it for fun.
Yeah, well, I'll have to say you are a fun guy. But we did, Tarn and I met with Ron, and really, Ron fit the bill perfectly. He was the kind of guy upbeat. He had experience. He had a lot of ideas, no shortage of ideas. A published writer, and and a lot of enthusiasm. So it was kind of a no-brainer that we need someone in each marketplace to be that guy.
Yeah. Or that girl.
Or that woman. And
yes.
yeah, absolutely. Either way, just somebody to take the helm.
Yeah.
And be the person on the inside and let us run the rest of it and assist them.
Right.
And yeah, that was a perfect fit. So looking at issue 3.
Issue 3. Let's see. What's in issue 3? Anything of interest?
It's all interesting.
That's right. I forgot.
You're going to have to wait for it to come out.
Oh, we're going to surprise
see
everybody.
It. Yeah, it's a surprise.
Uh-huh.
Right.
Now, in addition to the magazine, and you being an interesting person to be the publisher of all this, when you told me of your early career in the air,
as a pilot.
Yes, I thought that was really interesting. Can you share a little of that with us?
Everybody always thinks that's a great thing. Yes, I was a pilot. My first job ever, when I was 15 years old, I was working at Griffith Airport in Griffith, Indiana. My dad was a pilot, and he got me the job, which dads do, right? So I was cutting grass, 65 acres with a push mower, which I didn't mind. That was fine with me. I was waxing airplanes and gassing up airplanes and taxiing them into the hangars. That was later I learned how to taxi airplanes. So there was a big interest in that, besides which my dad was a pilot. So early on, I got into aviation. And from high school, I actually went from high school right into aviation. I went into ground school and flight school, and I got my license, and I got the various tickets, instrument tickets, and the various tickets you have to get to be proficient. And at a very young age, 22 maybe, I landed a corporate job for a company, but it really turned out to be more for a wealthy family. The family owned the company, and I did flying for the company, but mostly it was their kids were going to private schools out in the Midwest, and I'd fly them out, and they had homes here and there, and so it was a gravy job, and I was flying nice aircraft, and I did that for about 10 years. Nice. So I was into my 30s when I parted ways with them. So yeah, that was really fun. It was something I wanted to do all my life. I stepped into a tremendous position and got the opportunity to go flying every day.
Yeah, you were the flight chauffeur.
I was a flight chauffeur, yeah. And they had some cool aircraft, single engine, twin engine. It was a lot of fun.
Do you still fly?
I do not. When I parted ways there in my 30s, it was time for a change. It was time for a change for a lot of reasons. Mm-hmm. So I went into sales, actually, and made a lot of money in sales.
Can you say the product?
Yeah, sure. I was perfect timing. When I stopped working there, cable TV, this is how old I am, cable TV was just starting. And cable TV was, the crew would wire the block,
right,
or the 5 blocks. And I would go down behind them after, like the next day, and knock on the door. I'm the cable guy. Who didn't want cable TV?
Right.
I'd walk in and write them up, HBO, Movie Channel, Showtime, Playboy Channel, take them all, extra outlets, get a remote, and I'd get, $5 for this, $5 for that, $5 for this, $5 for that. So I was a young guy. I couldn't go out until 5 at night because that's when people came home.
Oh.
So I golfed all day. I worked from 5 till 9, selling cable TV, made a boatload of money, and that was another gravy job I stepped into. So early on, I guess I just hit it lucky.
You were on the gravy train.
I guess so.
And then I think you told me that you went into the corporate world.
I did go into the corporate world. Sales led me that way. I think I got pretty proficient at sales. I went into the transaction industry, which is a small industry, but you would know it as the credit card processing industry.
Oh.
You swipe a card through a terminal. But there's more to it than just swiping a card through a terminal. But I worked for the manufacturer of those terminals, and I ran a pretty large territory for them, and it grew from there. And I did that for about 17 years. So now I found myself up in age and pretty high up in the company also, and for a number of reasons which are too detailed to get into in this right here, I lost that job. And at that age, it's not easy to find another job, and especially one that's going to pay you what you were making.
Right.
So I just decided to reinvent myself. I tried for a little bit. Let's try to stay there, but I could see the writing on the wall. So that's why the magazines were born. Just looking for something else, and it's totally different. Brand new, but it's still sales, right? It's
True.
Sales, it's advertising sales. But the whole production side and the publishing side and the printing side, distribution, all of that, had to learn it. Had to learn it.
I find it amazing that you could learn all that and come out with such a beautiful product.
Just blessed, I guess. It just happened. It did. You know, things fell in line. Made some mistakes along the way, naturally, but we've got a good product. We have a real good team, some real talented people that I'm working with, and we have the backbone in place of how this all works, and we're really poised to grow.
Yep.
When we find a person like we found you in Cheshire, found Tarn in Wallingford, Jill in North Haven, Bob in Brantford,
yeah.
you know, other people like that, and we can grow the business because we have the backbone for it. And it's a tremendous product. The people in the towns love their magazine.
Yeah, like libraries are putting it in as in their stack, or I don't know, it's not in their stacks, but they're archiving it.
Our library in Southington and in Wallingford, they archive it.
Cheshire too.
And Cheshire is also. That's tremendous. We'll have to talk to North Haven and make sure they are. But they archive 2 magazines. And the Barnes Museum, who, by the way, the Barnes Museum is a tremendous place in Southington.
I've been there.
And
it's great.
it's a really cool museum of the Barnes family, one of the founders of Southington. She, Marie Secondo, has been a tremendous asset to us, always there to help. And she archives them. And Marie's attitude was, in 100 years, when someone wants to know about Southington, we're going to have all of these Southington magazines.
Right.
And they're going to tell them a story. So that's the attitude people take about it. And something to be proud about. I'm very happy about it.
I think you're doing a great job. I'm not trying to butter up the boss. Well, maybe a little bit. Anything else you wanted to add? We're getting close to the end of the show.
Are we? Well, you know, we're always looking for stories. We're always looking for photographers. We're looking for writers, ideas. We're open. We're an open book. We take it all in. We're easy to reach. People have tremendous ideas. It doesn't all stem from here.
Right.
It really stems from the people in town who have something to say. So we'd love to hear from you.
All right. I believe when the show's ending, they will have your website so that people can get to you.
Good.
All right.
Excellent.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Hope you enjoyed, and I hope you get to see at least one of these magazines because they're nice. You really got to check them out. Bye-bye.